CovalSupply.com to plan your dream kitchen or bath. Koval Building Supply. Everything you need to make your house feel like home.
Tune in to WMBS Saturday mornings at 8:20 for Your Financial Future with Gary Boatman, certified financial planner, investment advisory representative, syndicated columnist, and author, as he addresses such income issues as planning for retirement, future healthcare expenses, avoiding financial pitfalls, and much more. That's Your Financial Future with Gary Boatman, Saturday mornings at 8:20 right here on WMBS, where Gary Boatman welcomes your calls at 724-243-3075. That's 724-243-3075.
Franco's Golf Center is open during the winter months, Tuesday through Sunday, starting at 11 a.m., closed Monday. With 2 state-of-the-art simulators, Franco's is your destination for indoor golf. The Full Line Pro Shop is also open for your shopping convenience, with gift certificates available. The outdoor range is also open year-round, weather permitting. Call 724-438-6651 to reserve your indoor golf tee times. Franco's is located on Route 21 west of Uniontown. Stop and see them today.
If you're ready for a dental makeover or in need of basic dental care, the office of Dr. Mark Rabatin is right for you. Dr. Rabatin uses the latest advancement in the industry to achieve comprehensive care that will preserve your smile for years to come by providing general dentistry services. Call today to schedule your appointment at their modern office, located in the Fayette Business Park, 724-437-4991, for the fine art of dentistry.
You excited for Fish Fry Fridays, but not necessarily sure where you want to go? Then may we suggest the Butte House of Fish at the West Licensing Fire Department on Butte Road in West Licensing. Fish fries are held every Friday through Good Friday from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. Dine in or take out. They offer 4 meal options and various traditional sides, including haluski and pierogies. Enjoy a great meal and then check out their Chinese auction, Progressive 50/50, and other raffles and games. See you Friday at the West Licensing VFD.
Feeling lucky? Your next big jackpot is waiting for you. Visit the casino at Nemacolin in Farmington, PA for the ultimate casino experience featuring the hottest table games, daily promotions, big-time giveaways, and an exciting variety of premium slots. And after, celebrate your big win with a juicy burger at the Royale while you watch the big game. Hotel packages available. Visit CasinoNemacolin.com for more information. The Casino at Nemacolin. Game on. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Your local station, 590 WMBS. I hear voices in my head.
Hello and welcome, everyone. I'm your host, the voice of reason, Dave Dunaway. It's Thursday, February 26th, 2026, and you're listening to The Sports Voice. Well, if you like hockey, this should be a mixed week for you. You should be thrilled that both men and women won gold for the United States of America. Of course, that doesn't stop numerous people who know nothing about hockey from attempting to politicize literally everything that they see. But that's a story probably for another show and another day. But if you're a Penguin fan, you're probably highly disappointed at the news that came out in regards to Sidney Crosby and the time that he's going to miss. And you're probably angry at the Olympics for taking these players away, for stopping the season for 3 weeks. And now the best chance of the Penguins to not only make the playoffs but win while they're there is going to be sidelined for a little while. And I know there's stories that say, well, it's 4 weeks from the time the injury was sustained, which means it's really 3 weeks. Are we sure about that? Because there were stories that he might have played in the gold medal game, even though I told you there was literally no chance of him playing in the Olympics, and this is a lot worse than what they're telling you. I think it's going to be longer than 4 weeks that you're going to see Sidney Crosby. And if that's the case, then the Pittsburgh Penguins need to make some pretty big decisions. I think you could have told a couple of days ago when Brett Kulak was traded for Samuel Girard that the Penguins have pretty much decided anyone with an expiring contract can't be held on to, because the realistic nature of what they can now do in the postseason has got to be pretty grim. And honestly, I go back to the things that I said last week, the trading of guys like Raquel and Mantha, not because they've underperformed, not because they're terrible or don't fit, because this is not a team that you want to hold on to thinking that it's going to go deep into the playoffs. Because if you do, you've delayed for another year actually putting a team together that can realistically go deep into the playoffs. The last thing Penguin fans should want right now is for this team to turn into the Steelers, where you only think about the next game. You could care less about the future of the franchise, and you're more concerned with trying to do something, even if it's mediocre, in the short term. They came out because of the break and released the attendance numbers for every team in the NHL. The Penguins are next to last, and they have been for the duration of this season. They base it on capacity and the filling of seats based on capacity. But in the end, this is a team that has missed the playoffs for 3 straight years. This is not a team that people look at and get excited for the future because it's filled with veterans. Maybe you get excited for the present. Maybe you get excited for this year. But depending on how long Crosby's out, I wouldn't get super excited. I'm going to tell you right now, if he's out even for 4 weeks, they're done. They are absolutely done. This is a team that is built around him. And yes, we've seen some contributions here, there, and whatever. And you can listen to other shows, and they're going to tell you about all of the ways that this team can still make the playoffs. I always try to be as realistic as I possibly can. Without Sidney Crosby, this team is finished. Whether they make it or not, they will not win there. And if you look at the way the division is set up, if they don't finish in the top 3 in the Metro, they're not going to make the playoffs because the wild cards are going to come from the other side. You need to look at it realistically. I get it. Be excited. There's a lot of talent here. And nothing that I'm saying is because the Penguins haven't played well. They have. I think they've overachieved. That might be the biggest issue that they have right now, is because they've played themselves out of a lottery pick, and they may have played themselves out of the playoffs. Are they going to get stuck in that middle? And that could be, and I said this at the beginning of the year, should be the biggest fear for any Penguin fan out there. But that being said, it is a hockey night in Pittsburgh. It's the first game back from the Olympic break. We've got a pretty large contingency, from what I understand from here at the station, that'll be in attendance tonight. It's the New Jersey Devils, a team that is below them in the standings. This is a winnable game. And of course, we have the hero of American hockey, Jack Hughes. What a great speech he gave last night. Brought Tage Thompson, who played for the Buffalo Sabres, out there as well to celebrate in New Jersey. And that's what we should be doing. We should be celebrating the accomplishment for both the men and women in Olympics hockey. The men haven't won a gold medal since 1980. They've made movies about that team. That's how long the drought has been. And don't fool yourself if you were rooting for Canada. I think Sidney Crosby is much more important than anybody thought. Stack that line with Mr. Stat Collector, Connor McDavid, and Celebrini and McKinnon. But in the end, when they lost Crosby, they almost lost to Finland and then came up short against Team USA. So I, for one, am happy. I actually could find that game on TV. It's nice to see that the flagship network actually put the gold medal hockey game on. I know there wasn't a lot of competition. They had to play Sunday morning right before the closing ceremony because of how long it took the NHL players to get to Milan, and then I had to push back the start time for men's hockey. But regardless of all of that, that was probably the biggest story of the day until we got news just a little while ago that the National Football League Players Association report cards came out. And for the first time in those 4 years that they've done it, your Pittsburgh Steelers finished dead last. So there's some interesting little side notes to that that we will make sure that we get to here on the Sports Voice. In addition to that, the Pittsburgh Pirates victorious earlier today, 6-4 against, I don't know, whoever they played. It's fake baseball. It's not real. And not all the players are there because the World Baseball Classic is getting ready to start. We know Paul Skeen's going to be the starting pitcher for Team USA in the World Baseball Classic. So a lot of the star players are going to be elsewhere this week. Big news from the Pirates last week, well, actually earlier this week, Connor Griffin, the number one prospect in Major League Baseball, belting 2 home runs, absolute moonshots. And, of course, now the discussion comes back up. Should this guy make the roster from opening day? The answer, yes, because they're not a good team. Why would you not put him up there? There's no one even close to his potential and caliber that's going to make that roster. But I'm sure you'll sit there and find a way to justify Jared Triolo and his make-believe gold glove that he has because of a utility player that they just designed and created a couple of years ago and handed him. Griffin, a huge upgrade. And I've told you this before, and I know everybody says I just pick on the Pirates. I just like to criticize the Pirates. When you look at what they did this offseason, all they did was replace. They did not add to anything that they had. They took McCutchen, Pham, Kiner Falefa, and replaced them with O'Hearn, Lau, and Ozuna. You still have Triolo. You still have Davis and or Bart. Nick Gonzalez will be fine, I think, if he's playing shortstop. I'd much rather see him at third base with Connor Griffin at shortstop. You still have the debacle of O'Neal Cruz out there in center field. You still have all of that. So when you think about the issues that you had with the Pirate team last year, those issues are all still there. People were actually okay with Pham at the end of the year. Once he figured out he needed to put glasses on, he was actually able to hit the ball. Not that the Pirates figured that out, just like they couldn't figure out for years that Jose Batista was using a bat that was way too big for him. It took him to go to Toronto for somebody to figure that out. Everybody was okay with Pham. Everybody's okay with McCutchen. McCutchen, he's the franchise. He's the most recognizable name in recent time associated with the Pittsburgh Pirates. And people, for whatever reason, like Kiner Falefa, Mr. Single. So the guys that they got rid of, nobody was even really complaining about. The people that were being complained about, they're still there in the mix with 3 new guys that are a little bit maybe younger and better than the ones that you had. And the pitching staff got worse. I watched the game Sunday. Or it was Monday, whatever day I watched it, when Bubba Chandler pitched. Everybody's just anointed him the number 2 starter. He can barely get the ball over the plate. He walked in at least 1 run. He walked 4 in a row, no hits, and ended up giving up 4 runs in the game. Like that's just that you can't have that from a number 2. And then you start looking at a guy like Mitch Keller. Is he a 2? I don't know. Maybe in the first half of the year. The second half of the year, he's a 5. Urquidy gave up 3 runs today. I mean, this is what you've brought in. You'll be wishing you kept Jose Oviedo probably at the end of April. Some of these moves just didn't make sense. And what did you get for Oviedo? The password, who might not even make this team out of camp. I don't know if he deserves to make this team out of camp, looking at some of the performance of some of the other guys that are on the bubble. So I don't know. I just don't see it right now. There are things that I like. There are people that I like on that team. But I don't see a huge upgrade unless Griffin makes this team out of camp. So we'll figure it out, I guess, as we go through. But a lot to look at as we're getting ever so much more closer to the Pittsburgh Pirates getting started in their regular season. We're getting also much closer to March Madness and college basketball. Duke knocked off Michigan over the weekend. That's a big deal. So we'll look at some of that, depending on what kind of time we have. Nick is going to give his final Olympics review. So he'll tell you about some of the things that happened from Friday to Sunday. And I didn't see him at the closing ceremony, so we'll find out if he was dressed up as one of the mascots or exactly what he was doing there. And the NBA Roundup and possibly WNBA. I still haven't got confirmation when that season starts or if it started. So we'll get some info from him on that as well. But the big news of the day, this fell into my lap, and it's big news because I think it's big news and I think it's funny, was this NFL Players Association survey. I know they're trying to get that banned. The owners hate it because they don't want to be exposed for how cheap they are in certain aspects. And I know the Rooneys can't stand it because even though everyone knows they're cheap, this confirms it year in and year out. Normally the Steelers are in the upper 20s when you talk about the rankings, but this year the Steelers were dead last. And just to talk a little bit about how this works, there are numerous categories that the players get to vote on based on how they feel their treatment is by ownership and by the organization. The Miami Dolphins were first, followed by Minnesota and Washington. The Arizona Cardinals, who were in last year in 2025, they're next to last this year because that's how bad the Steelers are as far as in the eyes of the players. Now, before I go into some of this hilarity, I just want you to know that I have not changed my opinion on the players. I think that's the most unlikable group of athletes put together on a team in North American sports. There's not a player on that team that I actually root for. Maybe that'll change as time goes on, but I just look at them and they're very egotistical for lackluster performance, for the mediocrity that they put out there. I think very much inflated based on what they should be thinking about and talking about at this particular time. But of course, they think they're being treated unfairly and poorly, and they want to make sure everyone knows about it, and don't think they're going to stop with this survey. I've already heard rumors. There are people ready to once again whine and cry about their contract, even though they're under contract for this year, and they'll pout and they'll whine and they'll threaten to not participate in things. And some of these people have already done this and gotten handed what they asked for already. So, as I said, I think the most unlikable group of players that are called a team anywhere within this continent. But hey, you like them because they play in a city closest to your house. So if that's all it takes to like a team, then more power to you. Can't imagine the players you can associate with. Remember when they used to be all blue-collar guys? They used to drive in pickup trucks, and they would show up, and everybody was like, oh, that's a real Steeler. That's a real Steeler. Not even sure what a real Steeler is anymore because they don't have those guys anymore. So I'm curious. The real Steeler right now would, I'm assuming, be the guy that drives in the BMW dressed to the nines in a $1,000 outfit and then whines and cries they don't get paid enough. That, I think, would be the real Steeler now.
You sound like some 80-year-old at the end of the bar, Dave.
I feel like some 80-year-old at the end of the bar at this point.
Yeah, they all make a lot more money now. If Terry Bradshaw and Joe Green made the money they make now, they would act like the guys do now. You realize that, right?
Maybe. Maybe not. I don't know.
I'm sure they would. Bradshaw still can't get enough money. That clown's on TV every day for 50 years, every Sunday for 50 years. He still doesn't have enough money.
No, that is true. Although maybe he just likes it.
Okay, but he's not doing it for free.
Well, none of them are going to do it for free.
No.
But that doesn't mean that they have to whine and cry. I don't hear those guys whining and crying about how much money they're making either.
Yeah.
So
we'll see.
Especially when they're making a decent amount. It's not like they're at the bottom. Like, I get it. If you're at the bottom of the league in salary and you're one of the top guys, I understand. I mean, you still signed it. You still signed that contract and agreed to it.
You have a lot of...
But I understand why you would be upset. But when you're making the money that they're making and still whining that you want to make more, you know, not to name any names of guys that have their own podcast that are constantly whining. And by the way, I've heard he's going to be whining this year too. That's already come out. And if you do it and you have success, you know, why wouldn't you continue to do it? I guess is the point. So who do you blame for that? Do you blame the players? Do you blame the owner? I think you could blame a little bit of both because it seems just very easy to strong-arm this clown that runs the team. Although they were very critical of the clown in this survey. So I was reading a little bit of this to Nick. I don't have all of the stats and numbers. I'm sure they're out there. What I read on just the report is hilarious enough for me to go with that. So the Steelers received low grades in several categories. Steelers owner Art Rooney ranked last in the league for willingness to invest in facilities, a trend reflected in the Steelers' poor facility ratings across the board, according to the survey. In a new category added this year, the Steelers finished last in that as well. They had the lowest rated home field in the league by a wide margin. I mean, look at the conditions down there. Look at the
Pitt's fault.
almost injuries that we had there. Look at Boswell slipping, trying to kick a field goal at the end of the game. Imagine if one of these people go down based on an injury they sustained because of the horrendous field conditions. I still remember the football sticking in the turf.
That was fun.
In the monsoon that happened in the Miami game. But there seems to be no desire to fix any of this stuff either. It's not the worst that you get this rating, but I've not heard of anything changing down there to make the field better. They can just keep blaming Pitt and the high school teams for the reason why it is where it is, but just leave it as is. I mean, we know the clown is cheap. That's not even speculation. All you got to do is look at the lack of everything there, and the players are kind of telling you this as well. The players cite inadequate maintenance and excessive wear from hosting local college and high school games, according to the survey. Players across the league note the poor condition of the field and emphasize the need for investment to bring it up to standard. This isn't even just the Steelers. These are players on other teams talking about how bad the facilities are in Pittsburgh. The Steelers' locker room was graded an F. Players reported that it has only 5 bathroom stalls for the entire team. It's like going to a bar. You got to wait your turn. Do you think the veterans get preference on that? Like, do they, like, if you're a veteran?
Well, I'm sure Cam and Aaron have their own stall.
If you're a veteran and you have your own podcast,
yeah.
Do you get, like, the first stall?
Oh, I'm sure.
And then everybody else just waits out there for you?
Well, I think each player should get one stall for how many playoff wins they have. Cam has one. He gets one stall. TJ Watt gets no stalls. He has no playoff wins.
Well, they'd have a lot of extra stalls then if that's what they're worried about.
Aaron has a lot, but not here.
Right.
He was in Green Bay. Yeah.
Right. But he's currently not a member of the team. They're in that process of waiting him out to see if he decides that there are no other options and he wants to play football and he has to come back to Pittsburgh. So we're still waiting around for that. Per the survey, players report that the Steelers' training room lacks updated recovery technology and modalities. Pittsburgh's strength coaches ranked last in the NFL, though this is great. Though the training staff ranked first.
The one that almost killed TJ
Right.
Watt.
The training staff almost killed probably they're definitely their most expensive player, maybe their best player.
He is.
And they got ranked first in that. So, yeah, great job. That really makes me believe this is legit. We're not going to comment on a report that we have not seen in its entirety, said Steelers Senior Director of Communications, Burt Lawton. So there you go. So a lot of it is still speculation, according to the Steelers. It's like when Bob Nutting says that Forbes magazine article every year that says he's a billionaire is based on false information.
Fake news.
Very similar to this, yes. But the Steelers ranked dead last. We knew it was coming. It was only a matter of time. They've been down there every year that they've done this. Now, will the clown be embarrassed by this?
No.
Probably not. But remember, the Steelers are hosting the draft. So you start looking at facilities. If the facilities are this bad for the players and they're going to have the draft on this field, will there be upgrades just to make it look good for the rest of the country when they come here? Will there be upgrades? Will Rooney try to show everyone, hey, I'm not cheap. We just haven't gotten around. We had issues fixing this and fixing that, but now we're actually going to fix it. Is this the opportunity for him to actually invest money into the facilities of this team because he realizes the backlash that could come if people come to the draft and it looks like utter chaos?
Well, this should embarrass him to an extent. It's not the worst thing associated with the Steelers. The worst thing associated with the Steelers is they haven't won a playoff game in 9 years, and now you can't blame Tomlin. He was the old boogeyman. Now he's gone. So if you don't win next year, I guess you have to blame Big Mike from Greenfield because it's never ownership's fault. It's never Mr. Rooney's fault. It's never going to be Omar Khan's fault because he's the con artist. So
do you think they'll have more than 5 Porta-Johns down there for the massive influx of people they're going to have for this draft?
I would hope so.
And will the people get to use the facility? Like, will they only have 5 stalls if they go into the Steeler locker room?
Yeah, if this field's not up to snuff, if I were Roger Goodell or Fernando Mendoza, any of these prospects, I would refuse to show up. No, they're going to have a stage there. And I mean, we can joke and laugh about this, but it is an indictment on the Steelers if the rating is this bad. If you're somewhere in the teens or the 20s, that's one thing. But when you're dead last, that's a red flag. Again, not the biggest issue. The average fan doesn't care. The average fan should care and does care that they can't win playoff games anymore. And are they the worst organization in the league? Not even close. No, they made the playoffs the last few years. They're still a solid organization. They're not the Jets or the Raiders. They're not a joke. But when you get to what used to be the Steelers' standard, that's winning playoff games and Super Bowls, they fall short of that. This just compounds it, Dave. It's not the worst thing. It's that playoff streak that's the worst thing. But this is just another sign that they're not up to that Steelers standard anymore. You're right.
And I don't think any fan anywhere in the country would be happy with where the Steelers are at this point. Like, you might be excited at first because, oh, hey, we're going to the playoffs. But eventually you get into that stagnation and you expect more. And you're not getting it. I think that's the biggest thing with the Steelers when you talk about it. Like, you can look and say, well, they've made the playoffs. They haven't won there, but they've made it. Well, they've not improved. They've not done anything any better from one trip to the next trip to the next trip. I mean, the last 6 times were annihilations by teams that even this past year, people said this might be the best chance for them to win a game, and they get blown out by Houston. Like, it doesn't matter who they play. They just weren't able to compete, and it didn't get better. So obviously the blame goes to the head coach for that because of the game planning and the stagnant team and system and the outdated approach. So we'll see if they make the playoffs this year and get blown out. Maybe we got to start looking into the personnel. Maybe it's not the right people that are there, whether it be on the field or off the field or wherever. But I think you need to start looking at Omar Khan. I don't think Omar Khan has done anything special. He's brought in a bunch of overpriced, over-the-hill free agents that haven't helped this team, that haven't produced. And you look at the drafts, they've been deplorable, especially since he's taken over. A lot of these guys are cut. I mean, you can blame Colbert for Pickett but you start going even beyond that, a lot of the guys that are drafted either aren't playing, aren't impactful, or aren't on the team anymore. And that's not good. The NFL, you have to build from the draft because if there are star players, whoever has them keeps them. There's enough money in that cap to hold on to your best. What you get in free agency, as the Steelers have found out in the last couple of years, are old, washed up, over-the-hill guys that you're hoping can maybe rejuvenate themselves. And, we saw some signs from Aaron Rodgers at 42 years old.
He's fine, but they can't let him hold them hostage, and they're doing that again. He's 42 going on 43. If this were 28-year-old Aaron, fine, but he's not.
But that's their fault, because even if he is holding them hostage, that's not saying you can't go out and draft your quarterback. You're not probably going to play him this year anyways. So
I would draft Ty Simpson. You're vehemently against it.
I would never draft Ty Simpson, although I don't have to worry about New England drafting Ty Simpson.
No, but you don't, just because you failed on the Kenny Pickett thing, you have to keep taking quarterbacks until you get it right.
I agree with that. I just don't think he's the one to take.
All right.
I think that
Fine,
I'm not opposed to, and I've said that too, you should take a quarterback every year until you get the right one.
Yep.
I mean, if he's there, but the thing is, you still don't have another receiver. So I think if you have a Denzel Boston or you have somebody sitting there that could be a legit maybe one, because I don't think Metcalf's there for the long haul, nor is he a one at this point in his career.
No.
I wouldn't pass that up to take Ty Simpson. I'd pass it up to take Arch Manning. I'd pass it up to take Dante Moore. Like, there are guys I'd pass it up to take, but I wouldn't pass it up to take him. Like, I think you've got to be smart about it.
Yeah.
Like, when Arizona, and you could argue whether it worked out, but when they drafted Rosen in the top 10 and they realized after a year, hey, this guy's not working out, they took Kyler Murray the next year. I'm fine with that, but you got to make sure that you don't miss, because this team has too many holes to miss out on it. And I just don't see Tyler Simpson as the quarterback of the future. I think the draft might be deeper next year to do it. Now, would I take a quarterback in the second or third round? Yeah. I mean, depending on what's sitting there, you want to take a chance on a Cade Klubnik? Do you want to take a chance on a Drew Aller? Do you want to take Yeah, I mean, down there, the risk is so much less than what it would be taken in the first round. And I would never trade up. Would never trade up to get Ty Simpson. Would never do it. Not even consider doing it. And that's probably the biggest fear most Steeler fans should have, because I just don't see this guy. Like I said, when you get beat out by Milroe, that just tells me you don't have it. I mean, he was the guy coming in 2023. Holstein transferred out, went to Pitt. They had a couple of other guys. They had that Boucher that came over from Notre Dame that left. I mean, that Simpson was supposed to be the guy, and then Milroe come out of nowhere and took his job. I mean, that to me shows that, if you can't play in a system that they have in Alabama, you're not going to be able to play in whatever Mike McCarthy's going to do.
Then again, Jalen Hurts was benched for Tua, and we all know now that Hurts is a much better pro player. So you can't let that hang over your head forever.
But Hurts left and went to Oklahoma and became a star.
Right. Fair
Simpson
point.
stayed there.
Fair point.
Yeah.
And I'm not this big Ty Simpson fanboy. I'm just saying you have to eventually get that next quarterback, and it's not on the roster now. I don't think it's Will Hadd. I don't think it's Mason Rudolph. It's certainly not Aaron Rodgers at 42. But I agree with you. And there may be no slam dunk in this draft at any position, including Mendoza. He's not an Andrew Luck, John Elway level prospect. He's the best player, certainly best quarterback in this draft. But Tate, Reese, there's some guys who I think, Jeremiah Love, I think is going to be very good.
See, if you could get one of those guys, like if they could trade up and get Carnell Tate, I'd do that in a heartbeat.
Right.
If you could do that, but they won't do that.
No, they don't do it.
They won't do that unless it's a linebacker, maybe a quarterback.
With the draft being in Pittsburgh, maybe they'll do something out of the box, like trading up, like taking a quarterback, because they want that big, cheer at the podium. It's their draft. It's Pittsburgh Showcase. This is the biggest sporting event they're ever going to host, this draft. So maybe they'll make a big splash move.
Well, they've got a ton of draft capital. If they traded away to bring in a guy like Simpson, that's going to be a bigger mistake than what they did with Kenny Pickett. I think they're going to be set back even further making a move like that because I just don't see him as the future. I don't see Will Howard as the future either, but I'd give him a chance. I'd put him out there and see because you don't know for sure.
Well, if Rodgers
and you're never
going
to find out if you don't do it. And we've talked about it time and time again with the caliber of quarterback supposedly that's going to be in the draft next year. I mean, if it fails putting Howard out there, it might be the best thing for this team. Put Caleb Johnson in there at running back. Put Roman Wilson and Calvin Austin out there at receiver. And if they're all terrible, then move on from them. You've moved on from how many other draft picks? Move on from them, and you know what you need to get for the future of this team.
Well, here's every Steelers fan's worst nightmare. Rodgers plays. He plays fairly well. They win 9-10 games. They lose in the first round of the playoffs, and you're right back here again, and you're too low in the draft next year to get a great quarterback. And that's what's probably going to happen.
Yeah, and that's why they've been where they've been and gotten annihilated in playoff games for 6 years. That's why all of that is what it is, because instead of worrying about the future of the franchise, they worry about next week. The Minkah trade set them back. I think when you look, everybody blames Pickett and that move, and that is bad. But when you had a shot, you were going nowhere. They had Duck Hodges in there playing. They had Mason Rudolph in there playing. They were going to miss the playoffs. Sure bet. There was no chance of them probably picking higher than 10, and then they make that trade for Minkah and probably cost themselves Justin Herbert in the long run. I mean, that could have put them in a much better position to continue to win, but they blew it because they only worry about the next game.
But we do have to say, even if the personnel doesn't change, this offense has to be and will be better with McCarthy. It just will.
Well, I think you're going to see 3 receivers out there, which
now,
is already an upgrade.
Are they good receivers? Who knows?
I don't think it'll matter. At least they're receivers. You're not throwing to tight ends.
Yeah.
So I think that you'll definitely see a different, better offense. I do think Gainwell will come back. Yeah, I was on the fence with that. Not because I didn't think Gainwell had a good season or wouldn't be good. I just thought they needed to look at the younger guys. But Gainwell's not that old. And they were talking about his work ethic, which they say is off the charts, which the Steelers need that. They need someone to display that and show some of these lazy players that are there what you need to do to be successful, because Gainwell worked for everything he got last year. It's not like it was just handed to him. He wasn't a first-round pick or anything like that. He was a guy that came out of nowhere. Philadelphia used him as a kick returner and put himself on the map. And I think that they need to look at that and learn by example. Rodgers didn't just make a joke and say, hey, I'll be around to watch film every day. Those guys weren't going. Not only that, they weren't really exerting themselves. And that might be the culture of the previous head coach that was there. Maybe that changes a little bit with Mike McCarthy. We'll see as the season goes on. But in the end, this team needs to grow up and become adults if they want to have any chance to win a playoff game. And there's too many children on that team and not nearly enough adults. And the veterans that we think should be adults, they're some of the biggest children that you'll see, and you'll figure it out when contract time rolls around. I want to make more than Myles Garrett. I feel like I'm not getting what I deserve. I need to make more money, even though I signed this contract last year to make more money. I want to make even more money this year. They're like little kids. And until somebody in the organization changes that and says, look, you're professionals, you're adults. You can't just run over in the stands and punch somebody in the face. Like you've got to act like you're a professional. And I think that's the last thing that we've seen from this team for a long time. And that's why I will continue to say they're the most unlikable team in professional sports. I don't know how you can, those three that I just made fun of, those are the three probably biggest names on that team. If you can't associate with them, if you can't connect with them, who else are you going to connect with on this team? Like the Gainwell story is great, but he's a second tier running back. Right. Where are the stars that are coming up and being professional? This is why I love the Penguins, because their star is the most professional, maybe the most professional athlete that I've ever seen in my lifetime in the city of Pittsburgh with Sidney Crosby. Where is that on these other teams? Because I don't see it. I see them whining and crying on social media. Pirates do the same thing. So it's not even like, there's a bunch of great guys there. There are more good guys there than what's with the Steelers. But you could say it's the whole NFL, but there are guys I like in the NFL that don't do that.
Well, if you won a couple playoff games, I would not care as much about the personalities. But, if you're not winning, you better be a good guy, and they're neither at this point.
Yeah. So, well, anyways, they had their fun today doing the survey or whenever they actually did it, and they got to rip apart Art Rooney, the clown, who tries to support them every time they talk to him. He won't say a bad thing about anybody there. So nice to see they threw him under the bus, which I love him getting thrown under the bus because he does a good job subtly of throwing other people under the bus. So nice to see he's under there. Yeah, that's it. So check and see. You'll get to see all the categories and where they rank, but the Steelers coming out dead last in the NFLPA poll, basically rating the ownership. And Aaron Rodgers, we have no idea. He might be in Egypt. He might not be. There's a lot of fictitious news coming out saying, well, he's considering coming. Based on what? If you talk to him, because I haven't seen him. I've seen him less than I've seen Tomlin. That should tell you all you need to know, because I haven't seen either one of them, really. Although there's an interesting story. So there's speculation coming out of NBC that Tony Dungy's out. Does Tomlin take his place?
I'm not sure if he wants to do it. I'm sure if he wants to, they'll definitely have him. And it'd be interesting. I guess the Tony Dungy thing ran its course. He's not that dynamic on the air. Nice guy. Yeah, we'll see.
I think Tomlin would be dynamic.
Yeah.
I think that's something he would be really good at.
Right.
I don't think head coaching he was really good at the last decade, but I think you look at this, it'd be something new. He'd be motivated. He'd get to use all his catchphrases.
Oh, yeah.
People, I think, would be entertained. He's a good
The
speaker.
Steelers, do you think?
As much as I complain about his coaching, I think he'd be perfect for TV.
Yeah, he'd be good. I think he'd go after the Steelers, and I don't think he's going to want to get back into coaching anytime soon. This could be a Bill Cowher thing where he retires early and then just stays on TV for 20 years.
Yeah. And I could see him working his way up to the pregame, like the main.
Right. And be in the booth, maybe call games.
Yeah.
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 Be the next Brady, Romo, Collinsworth.
Well, there you go. We're the last week of February, and we let off with football. We just can't avoid football.
Combine, draft in Pittsburgh. We'll be there.
We'll be there. Let's take a break. When we come back, we don't have too much time, so I'm going to save the Penguins for the second hour. Maybe we'll see if we can touch on a little bit with the Pirates. So don't go away. We'll be right back.
Zen's Antiques and Home Decor, part of the Cinder Shack family of vendors, where you can find both antique and new furniture, collectibles, housewares, gift items, including jewelry and candles, and so much more. Follow Zen's Antiques and Home Decor on Facebook for new items and information on upcoming events. Zen's Antiques and Home Decor in Building 2 at 3391 National Pike in Farmington. Zen's Antiques and Home Decor.
That sneeze was in a different zip code, and I still felt the germs.
Relax, Randy. I went to Montgomery Medical. I'm fully shielded.
Like a flu shot?
Flu, COVID, the works. If you haven't caught up on your shots yet, they'll get you sorted in minutes. It's basically a suit of armor, but with less clanking. Then do the double shot. After Montgomery Medical, head over to Renew You Medispa. I got their immunity IV drip.
A Medispa?
You relax, you hydrate, and you give your immune system a VIP upgrade.
Montgomery Medical, a family tradition of family medicine.
Ready to score big on your next home? Well, great news. Huge savings are waiting for you at Clayton Homes of Bell Vernon. From open floor plans perfect for game day parties to energy-efficient homes that will help you save money all season long, these homes are built to deliver. Don't wait on the sidelines. Make the winning play today and find the home that fits your family and lifestyle. Visit Clayton Homes of Bell Vernon at 4500 Route 51.
Mountaintop Title and Notary can handle all of your motor vehicle and PennDOT needs, such as titles, plates, renewal, registrations, and all notary needs. Tina Nicholson of Mountaintop Title and Notary can also handle ATV and boat titles, and also does income taxes. Hours are Monday through Friday, 9:30 to 4:30, and appointments can be made for after hours and Saturdays. Mountaintop Title and Notary with a new location at 655 Nelson Road in Farmington, the only place you need to go for all title, notary, and tax work. Call Tina at 724-984-1514 for the most professional services around.
Route 21 Furniture, take the road to your perfect home.
Sleep well tonight. Try out a new mattress from Route 21 Furniture with a large selection of mattresses, all sizes and comfort levels, with great prices, free local delivery and setup, and financing options. Route 21 Furniture. Open weekdays 9 to 5, Saturday 10 to 5, Sunday noon to 4. 724-737-2222 or Route21Furniture.com.
Route 21 Furniture, take the road to your perfect home.
WNBS.
Welcome back to the Sports Voice. We are at the final segment here of the first hour, and I know I didn't save a bunch of time, so if we need to extend this, we can extend it into the second hour as well. But the Pittsburgh Pirates are definitely gathering some national attention. They're 4-2 right now in the spring training round of their season, which normally you never know where they're going to be. Sometimes they already have that loss racked up to Manatee at this point. But a lot of this speculation is revolving around the fact that people believe legitimately that number one prospect Connor Griffin is going to make this team out of camp. And I would venture to say he's probably going to earn it. When you look at it, when it's all said and done and you start looking at numbers and stats, he's probably going to be up there to the point where you're going to sit there and say, you can't keep this guy off the roster. And then the Pirates are going to keep him off the roster because they do not want these clocks ticking. At least the Pirates are smart enough to know they're not going to spend money. And they're not going to have this guy beyond his first contract, his first years of eligibility. And they're probably afraid if he wins Rookie of the Year, it's going to be like Skeens, where they're going to lose an extra year of eligibility. And you're going to be knocking on the door of arbitration, which I'm sure they were scared to death when they saw what Tariq Skubal was handed a couple of weeks ago. So Skubal gets $32 million. We know Skeens is going to get $40 million. And then you have to start wondering, will they keep him next year when he gets that, if there's even a season? Griffin's going to come up at 19. 7 years of protection puts that at 26. There's no way they're going to let this guy be a free agent at the prime of his career. And I would also venture to say there's no way they're going to sign him long term, because I can't imagine a scenario that allows them to be able to do that. I'm sure that he's going to want huge money, especially if he comes up and performs the way everyone thinks that he's going to. And the last thing the Pirates are going to do is invest huge money in one player. Maybe they'll be a little more likely to do it with Griffin, since he'll play every day instead of Skeens, who will pitch 5 innings once every 5 days. But in the end, it's still money that the Pirates have shown throughout the years they are not willing to spend. Even though the owner, we've cited various sources, has been referred to as a billionaire in the circles of ownership. He claims that's not true. He cries poor every chance he gets. He talks about all the debt that this organization has accrued and how he has to keep putting money back into it. Meanwhile, in the end, they are maybe top 3 most profitable teams in Major League Baseball. And we know MLB is too big to fail. Everyone is profitable in Major League Baseball because they have the luxury of playing at a time of the year where no one else plays. They get full advantage of all of those big-time TV contracts. They're actually put on real TV with their TV contract, not on a streaming site. And MLB controls so much of that, and then with revenue sharing gives an equal amount to every team, regardless of whether or not they played in the playoffs, World Series, Field of Dreams game, Little League game, whatever it is that the Pirates haven't been in forever. They still get a cut of all of that. You know, when I look at it, Nick, there's something there. You can tell with Don Kelly, you've got a legit big boy manager for the first time in a while. So you look at some of the coaches and some of the stuff, and I like when they talk about a lot of technical things that they've done. You've got guys that the work ethic has definitely picked up. They've spent their offseason improving themselves, especially Reynolds and Gonzalez, who spent a lot of times with hitting coaches trying to work on their swings. One's batting .667, the other's batting .532. So definitely there are things that are happening here. The pitchers put a lot of time in. Put a lot of work in. We've got a new pitching coach this year. You've got guys from the past, like AJ Burnett, who've been down at camp working with these players, who actually did win with the team, which is almost ridiculous to say unless you were around 50 years ago. So I think they're doing all the right things from the managerial standpoint, from the coaching staff, even from the GM. They brought in some guys that they got on the cheap. They were guys that not a lot of people were out there looking for. The ones that everybody was looking for, those other teams got them. The Pirates did not. No. But they've added some power, maybe some productivity to the lineup, which was something that was in dire need at the end of last year. So they've done what they were allotted to do by a very cheap ownership. Will it be enough? I just don't think so. I think that you had a chance to go out and bring in like a Kyle Schwarber, and you chose not to do it. And then you whined and cried and said, well, we offered this much. And then after he officially signed, they upped what they said they offered him, even though we know that they didn't. From what I understand, they were considerably under all of the offers that these guys got from other teams. And quite honestly, they needed one of those guys. They didn't need them all, but they needed either Schwarber, Tucker, Suarez. They needed one of those guys, and they ended up with none of them. Just like they do every year, they ended up with none of them. They go out, they look for guys that are cheaper. They did bring a few of them in. Blau is an expiring contract. They can trade him in July if they want to. O'Hearn, they signed to a 2-year deal. Ozuna is at the tail end of his career. So when you start asking how much have they improved, honestly, I think they've improved, but I think they've improved very little. Right now, I see them at 76 wins. If Griffin makes the team out of camp, now we'll talk again. I'm in the 80s if that happens. But honestly, Nick, I don't see it happening. I don't know if you see anything any differently than I do here.
Yeah, and it's hard to take spring training numbers with anything more than a grain of salt. As good as the hitters may perform, they're not necessarily facing big league pitching, if you know what I mean. So, yeah, I think they have upgraded a little bit, maybe marginally, but a lot of home runs they added. It's not a guarantee they'll hit them here. But, yeah, the rotation, which was a strength in previous years, I think will be maybe a weakness outside of Skeens. It did not get better. So I think they'll win more games and they have a better manager. But is it a wild card team? On the fringe, but not slam dunk as of right now.
They've got to do everything right, which includes personnel.
Right.
And I do not see that happening. I think you'll see that probably within a week or two when they announce Griffin has been assigned to minor league camp, even though there's numerous weeks and games left to be played. That decision has already been made. We all know it, whether we want to admit it or not. And in the end, that could be the undoing of all of the hope and optimism of the Pittsburgh Pirate faithful, believing that this just might be the year that they're able to turn that corner. That is all the time we have for the first hour of the Sports Voice. When we come back for hour two, a lot of hockey to talk about between the Olympics and the NHL back to action, back to play. The Penguins making their return tonight in Pittsburgh against Olympic hero Jack Hughes. A lot to come. Don't go anywhere. The Sports Voice. We'll be right back.
Fallen in love with a house? Head over heels for a home plan? Take the plunge. Apply for a mortgage loan with First Federal Savings and Loan of Greene County. Feeling commitment shy? Complete a mortgage pre-qualification. It's simple. 100% online and you'll get a personalized answer within 1 business day. Then save the date for a move-in day or groundbreaking and put a key ring on it. Apply online at ffgc.bank. First Federal Savings and Loan Association of Greene County. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender, NMLS number 458729.
Your local station, 590 and 101.1 W266DB, WMBS Uniontown. Good afternoon, sunny, and that temperature right now is it's in the 40s here, 44. Penguins tonight at 6. More of Dave Dunaway next, but right now, CBS News.
This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by JTV.com.
I'm Jennifer Kuiper. A White House official confirms to CBS News that at least 2 American citizens were aboard a stolen speedboat shot at by Cuba's Coast Guard yesterday. At least one of the 4 killed and one of the 6 injured were U.S. citizens. It was first reported by Axios. CBS's Christian Benavides.
Cuba says it also seized assault rifles, handguns, Molotov cocktails, and bulletproof vests from the boat, alleging the group had intentions of carrying out terrorism. The U.S. has yet to verify those claims.
Warner Brothers deems CBS News parent company Paramount Skydance's takeover bid as superior to Netflix. Netflix has 4 business days to counter. A Columbia University student who was detained by federal agents this morning at one of its dorms has been released. On campus, this student says of the atmosphere,
everyone is very nervous. Everyone is very scared. Students are literally hiding in their dorms right now because they're afraid to come outside.
CBS's Jared O'Chacher says Columbia University is taking steps to educate those on campus on how to deal with this type of situation.
That includes a webinar that's happening today on immigration policy and laws, and also more public safety patrols that are being deployed to residential buildings around campus.
The detention has prompted a peaceful protest at Columbia University this afternoon. A day before former President Clinton is to be deposed, former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton testifies before a House committee in connection with the investigation into late convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. CBS's Allison Keyes.
Former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton says she didn't know about Epstein's criminal activities and says the committee should be questioning President Trump under oath. Ranking member Robert Garcia says he demands
that we ask President Trump to testify in front of our committee.
Garcia says Hillary Clinton is answering all questions and continues to demand that the press be allowed into the deposition. Allison Keyes, CBS News, Washington.
Iran and the U.S. held a third round of talks today in Geneva. Our Cami McCormick with that.
Iran's foreign minister described the talks as some of the most intense yet and the longest. Oman's foreign minister, who was mediating, said there had been significant progress and technical talks would begin next week in Vienna. That's the home of the International Atomic Energy Agency, the UN's watchdog agency that would be critical in any deal, but there are no signs of that.
A new state law impacting transgender residents is now in effect in Kansas. CBS's Stacey Lynn reports.
The measure requires state IDs to reflect the sex assigned at birth and forces affected residents to pay for their replacements. The new law affects more than 1,000 residents in the state. Civil rights groups say legal challenges are likely.
This is CBS News.
Looking for spring jewelry looks? Find them at Jewelry Television. New customers get $20 off purchases of $99 or more at jtv.com.
Take the fact book.
Caring for an aging parent or a loved one with medical needs? FACT, Fayette Area Coordinated Transportation, can help. Seniors 65 and older ride free on our fixed routes. People with disabilities get discounted shared rides. And if your loved one has medical assistance, their trips to doctors or treatment are covered under the shared ride program. Give them safe, reliable independence and yourself peace of mind. Call 724-628-RIDE or visit factbus.com. FACT, your community, your connection.
On the next edition of The Catholic Accent, we're sharing simple ways to make your Lenten journey more meaningful this season. The Diocesan Lenten Appeal is officially underway, inviting you to help keep our parishes vibrant and thriving, just as they have been for the past 75 years. And as the Diocese of Greensburg celebrates its 75th Diamond Anniversary, we'll show you how you can be part of the celebration. Watch The Catholic Accent Sunday morning at 11:30 on WPXI.
The National Guard has arrived in some cities in the Northeast to help dig out from this week's blizzard. More from CBS's Michael Wallace.
41 inches of snow fell in Fall River, Massachusetts, where some streets still look like ski mogul slopes.
Over 30 years, I've never seen it like this.
The snow is just too heavy. It's wet. It's gross.
National Guard Brigadier General Lisa Ahasey and her troops are helping the city.
They're shoveling fire hydrants to free up the firefighters.
National Guard troops have also arrived in Providence, Rhode Island, which got 38 inches of snow. They're helping to clear at least one lane on buried side streets. Michael Wallace, CBS News.
Instagram says it will start alerting parents if their kids repeatedly search for terms clearly associated with suicide or self-harm. The alerts will only go to parents who are enrolled in Instagram's parental supervision program. The announcement comes as Meta faces 2 trials over harms to children. Jennifer Kuiper, CBS News.
The award-winning local, district, and statewide news is being brought to you by Ultimate Structures, offering customized sheds, cabins, and metal buildings. Ultimate Structures is ready to design what you desire. Call today, 724-415-0020.
Good afternoon, 5:05 with sunny skies on a Thursday, 44 degrees. I'm Nick Barczyk, and we are in the Davis & Davis studios. Davis & Davis, attorneys at law, voted Fayette County's best law firm, 2025, your local station, 590 and 101.1 WMBS, Uniontown, the Weather Watch and sports on the way. PennDOT says license plate readers at places like the Pennsylvania Turnpike are having trouble distinguishing a few numbers. It stems from a certain feature in the state's new license plate designs. It has a slash between the 0, which could confuse it, with the number 8. The Turnpike says it's doing as much testing as it can on its end, but if you have an issue, it says to just call the customer service center at 1-877-736-6727. First-time filings for unemployment are decreasing around Pennsylvania. That's according to the U.S. Labor Department, which says for the week ending February 21st, there were more than 9,300 first-time filings in the state. The number is more than 1,000 less filings from the week before. Nationally, there was an increase in the number of unemployment filings initially for the week. PennDOT has announced single-lane restrictions will go into effect starting Monday morning on Route 119 between New Stanton and Youngwood. Crews will be repairing deteriorated bridge areas and beam ends. The restriction is expected to remain in effect through late March. The work is part of a larger $3.1 million infrastructure investment in a larger bridge deck restoration project. There's a new blood test that may show whether older people have a real chance and a good high chance at living longer.
Researchers at Duke University published findings in Aging Cell that show certain small RNA molecules in the bloodstream can predict whether older adults are likely to survive at least 2 more years. A study involved more than 1,200 blood samples taken from adults 71 years and older. The team found that lower levels of certain RNA molecules resulted in a strong chance of living at least 2 more years. I'm Tammy Trujillo.
A number of Western Pennsylvania fire companies are among those receiving newly announced grants from the Pennsylvania Department of Conservation and Natural Resources. 114 Pennsylvania fire departments, many of them in Allegheny and Westmoreland, are receiving more than $900,000 in total money from the U.S. Department of Agriculture Forest Service to support wildlife and wildfire protection efforts. From issues to races, a new Quinnipiac poll surveying more than 830 registered Pennsylvania voters from this month was released this week. On artificial intelligence data centers, the poll found that nearly 70% are against building one of these centers, 70 to 20% are against building one of these centers in their community, with all political parties in agreement. On the campaign front, the governor is up nearly 20 points in his race for re-election against Stacey Garrity, the GOP challenger. As for the U.S. senators, around all parties, 46 to 40% approve of the way Senator Fetterman is handling his job, but he's more popular with Republicans than his fellow Democrats. And Senator Dave McCormick has an approval rating of 37 to 33%. 30% do not give their thoughts. More next on WMBS.
Is that a bird I hear? I think it's almost spring. We have to get the junk out of the garage. I need a shed. But a cool shed, yeah. Maybe a she shed or an office shed.
I know just the place where you can find the perfect shed. It's Ultimate Structures on Route 51 in Perry Township.
Well, I need to see them for myself. I don't want to go downtown to the home show.
See large and small sheds, office sheds, animal shelters, recreational cabins, garages. It's unbelievable. Right in Bell Vernon. Visit the Mega Lot at Ultimate Structures. There's no need to run to Pittsburgh. Order right now and you'll get our 12% spring discount on all new shed orders.
I'm Googling Ultimate Structures Bell Vernon. Okay, they're just outside Perryopolis. There's a website and a Facebook page, plus that 12% discount right now.
Ultimate Structures is the only independent dealer representing JDM Structures in Pennsylvania. Stop in. We design what you desire.
In sports, we have hockey this evening. Penguins host the Devils at pregame at 6, face-off at 7 on WMBS. High school basketball tomorrow, C. Arborado Group High School Sports Day. Sprouse Insurance Group pregame at 2:15, game at 3. It's the girls 1A WPI AL Championship game from Peterson Event Center in Pittsburgh. Geibel against Sarah tomorrow. Radio and audio on Facebook. That's at 2:15. Brian and Tony with all the action on WMBS. Now the weather watch for all of southwest Pennsylvania. Right now at 44 degrees, overnight low at 29, sunny and 54 Friday. Chance of rain late Saturday, otherwise sun in the afternoon, 62, but down to 40 with a chance of snow flurry Sunday. Flurries moving in as well, maybe up to an inch Monday at 36. Rain likely Tuesday at 45. Rain showers as well Wednesday at 52. Right now, clouds and sun, 44 at 5:10 on a Thursday. Good afternoon from the Davis & Davis studios in Uniontown at WMBS. I'm Nick Barczyk. The Stock Report next, then the second hour of the Sports Voice with Dave Dunaway on WMBS.
The local district and statewide news was brought to you by Ultimate Structures, just outside of Perryopolis on Route 51 southbound. Call them today at 724-415-0020 to find the shed, cabin, or metal building that meets your needs.
Good evening. This is Angie Danko of Janney Montgomery Scott here in Uniontown, bringing you today's closing stock market report. The Dow Jones Industrial Average was up 17.1 points, closing at 49,499. The NASDAQ Composite was down 273.7 points, closing at 22,878. And the S&P 500 Index was down 37.3 points, closing at 6,909. Among companies of local interest, Apple closed at $272.95, down $1.28. Amazon, $207.92, down $2.72. Cisco, $78.10, down $1.02. Boeing closed at $229.41, down 95 cents. Caterpillar, $752.83, down $13.78. Disney, $105.58, up 53 cents. ExxonMobil, $148.57, down 49 cents. First Energy, $50.64, unchanged. Johnson & Johnson, $243.49, down $1.68. Home Depot closed at $375.25, down 32 cents. Intel, $45.46, down $1.42. McDonald's, $334.55, up $1.54. Meta Platforms, $657.01, up $3.32. PNC Financial Services closed at $222.80, up 85 cents. Raytheon Technologies, $197.59, up $1.61. Rockwell Automation, $411.28, up $8.90. Tesla, $408.58, down $8.82. Verizon, $48.89, down 34 cents. And Walmart closed at $124.42, down $1.33. Recapping, the Dow Jones Industrial Average was up 17.1 points, closing at 49,499. The NASDAQ Composite was down 273.7 points, closing at 22,878. And the S&P 500 Index was down 37.3 points, closing at 6,909. From the Uniontown office of Janney Montgomery Scott, LLC, member FINRA, NYSE, SIPC, where we serve all of your investment needs, this is Angie Danko.
Go to Ford of Uniontown and trade me in!
It's Dominic Carbone with Jessica Caringla with your 7-time President Award-winning Ford of Uniontown. Truck Month is on the horizon, and we're kicking this thing off with a bang. Running all the way to the end of March, and we're talking massive savings.
How massive?
Well, I'm glad you asked. Take up to $8,000 off select F-150s or $6,000 off with interest rates at 2.9 for 60 months, 3.9 for 72, and only 4.9 for 84 months.
And that's not all. We got deals on Super Duties, Mavericks, and Rangers. Just stop, click, or call for details. Here at Ford of Uniontown, our commitment is to make sure you have the best experience, not only buying a vehicle, but getting it serviced as well. That's why we offer online maintenance appointments and free pickup and delivery.
Your truck knows, shouldn't you? That's Ford of Uniontown on the hill across from Applebee, 724-425-5980 or FordofUniontown.com.
Price excludes taxes and transfer fees, must finance with Ford Credit, and not all buyers will qualify.
Franco's Golf Center is open during the winter months, Tuesday through Sunday, starting at 11 a.m., closed Monday. With 2 state-of-the-art simulators, Franco's is your destination for indoor golf. The Full Line Pro Shop is also open for your shopping convenience with gift certificates available. The outdoor range is also open year-round, weather permitting. Call 724-438-6651 to reserve your indoor golf tee times. Franco's is located on Route 21 west of Uniontown. Stop and see them today.
The best pizza in town is at Little E's Al Altre, Uniontown's newest restaurant with all the organic crust, classic or gluten-free, all organic sauces, all natural meats and toppings, and a variety of specialty pizzas, including vegan options. More than pizza, Little E's has hearty homemade soups, appetizers, calzones, and strombolis, plus a variety of salads with vegan and gluten-free options. Open Wednesday and Thursday 11 to 9, Friday and Saturday until 9:30. Phone 724-8 880-6012 or stop in Little East, 7 West South Street across from a parking garage.
Your local station, 590 WMBS. I hear voices in my head.
Welcome to part 2 of the Sports Voice. Ahead on this hour, it's a hockey night in Pittsburgh. Should be very well attended by WMBS alum. The Pittsburgh Penguins make their return to the ice after 3 weeks off for the Olympics. But they make that return without their best player, maybe the second best player in the history of the franchise, Sidney Crosby. And when you take a look at the storyline and you look at the people that are blaming the Olympics and everything that comes from that, there is truth to that. Like, it's not that you're trying to say, well, no, it's not the fault that he played in the Olympics. Well, yeah, it is. He got hurt in the Olympics, but that was what the players wanted. That was what they put into their contract. They have not played in the Winter Olympics since 2014. You had a 12-year absence of NHL players because the NHL would not allow it. The players actually gave concessions to the league to put into the contract, into the collective bargaining deal, the fact that they would be permitted to play. Everybody that went wanted to go. Sidney Crosby wanted to play for his native Canada. There's no other storyline there. You can't blame the Olympics. You can't blame the Penguins. This was a decision that was made by Crosby. It was made by all of the other NHL players. They knew 100% what could happen if they went there, and they knew there was a chance that they could get hurt. And you hear people complaining, saying, well, they make all the money in the NHL. The Olympics, they don't even get paid for that. And this is where their bread gets buttered. This is where the big-time paychecks come from. And I don't disagree with that. That's 100% true. But there is that whole identity of national pride. The same people that complain about them playing are the people that were super excited if they were American that Team USA won the gold medal Sunday morning. So you've got to take a look at all of it. It does bring a total new dynamic. I think it's better than the Four Nations tournament that they had. It's a hockey tournament. That's what it is. And these players that were chosen wanted to go play. Team USA and Team Canada were loaded with NHL stars. That was the whole team. It was rostered by NHL players. So, yes, it wasn't just Crosby who said, hey, I'm going to go play while everybody else decided not to. It is what it is. It's unfortunate that now the Penguins have to pay the price for this, but it's part of the deal. You knew that going in, that there was a chance. It's not the first time throughout his career that Sidney Crosby has been injured and the Penguins trying to make a playoff push. Malkin has been there. So you're looking at a situation where obviously these guys are older, and I know a lot of people are very upset because they feel this might be the last chance that these guys have to make the playoffs and to do something there. Well, based on how the roster is assembled right now, it probably is the last chance these guys are going to have because they chose to go all in with veterans and put all the eggs in this basket to go out and do something one last time with Crosby, Malkin, Letang, and potentially Rust all on this team together at the same time. So it's unfortunate. We know the latest update is that Sidney Crosby is out for 4 weeks. I've now heard it being said as at least 4 weeks. That goes along a little more with what I've been telling you since the injury occurred. I do not see him coming back in 4 weeks. I do not see him coming back in March. They said he was still having issues walking just a couple of days ago. I don't know if he comes back this season. I think they're trying to be cautiously optimistic. I think the reports were just ridiculous that came out of the Olympics that, he might play against Finland. He might play against Team USA. There was no chance of him playing in those games, and everybody knew it. But they tried to downplay it. They tried to make it look like, well, maybe there's an opportunity. You know what would have been nice if Team Canada would have just been honest with everyone and said Sidney Crosby is not going to play for the duration of this tournament so that he could go and begin rehabbing, which he did not do. He spent the entire duration of the Olympics hoping that it was going to heal itself and he was going to get out there on the ice because he wanted to play in that gold medal game if he could. But it didn't, and he didn't get out there, and he's delayed now the recovery time that it's going to take for him to be able to come back. And I get why Penguin fans are angry. I just don't know who you should be angry with. I mean, you can't be angry with Crosby. He took an opportunity that so many others did to go represent his country in what hockey considers to be their most important sporting event. Most people within hockey consider the Olympics more important than the Stanley Cup playoffs. So I can't get angry with Crosby. I can't get angry with the players for trying to get themselves into the Olympics. I can't get angry with the Olympics for just being the host of where this actually happened. Anytime anybody goes out there, they risk getting injured. It could have happened at a Penguin game in a Penguin uniform, just as easily as it happened in the Olympics in a Team Canada uniform. It's part of the game. Injuries are a thing that happens. They can happen anytime. They can happen outside of the arena. Think of how many players are injured for weeks, months, based on something they did at home, maybe slipping and falling on ice. So it's not something I think that we should dwell on and be angry about, but definitely the Penguins need to think about what comes next. What are the next steps for this organization? And if they think they're going to go to the playoffs and win a series without him, they're delusional. They're done. At this point, in my mind, they are done. And I know you can listen to any other show and they're going to give you countless scenarios of how they can still salvage this season. Maybe they could have salvaged it if Letang and Malkin were still in their mid-20s, but they're not. They're in their late 30s. And these are the guys that you are depending on. Not that others haven't played well. They've all showed signs, but 17 games in 30 days, a lot of old legs out there. You can't just take Crosby out of the lineup and insert Kevin Hayes. It just doesn't work like that. They don't have the caliber of star power to be able to overcome this loss, and they should not go out and try to trade for it either. That's not the goal of this team. They're not going to win a Stanley Cup this year, regardless of what they do from this point on. Even if Crosby comes back in 4 weeks, they're not going to win a Stanley Cup this year. Why put all the eggs in that basket? I like what they did the other day. You have Brett Kulak, who you acquired as a throw-in the Jari trade. He has an expiring contract. If you think you're going to go and make a run for the cup, you keep him and you take your chances with getting nothing in return. But at least that showed me that Dubas realizes that this is not a team that's going to go deep into the playoffs. So he made a move, which I thought was a very good move for the team. You get younger by 5 years with Samuel Girard. You bring in a Stanley Cup champion. You bring in a plus 12 playing for Colorado instead of a -5, regardless of how Kulak played. And I thought he played extremely well, much better than I thought we were going to get out of him. He was still a -5 by the time he was out there on the ice, and you bring in a second-round pick. Those are the trades that the Penguins need to make. Those are trades that I think the Penguins can make, and I think they can still make the playoffs doing this if they do it right. But they have to execute these trades. You can't just keep the nostalgia on this team. Whatever you do has to build for the future. It can't build for the right now. I mentioned 2 names last week, Rickard Rakell and Anthony Mantha. I didn't mention them because I don't like them. I didn't mention them because I think they're struggling. I mentioned them because I think, especially with Mantha, he's overachieving. I think you could put Mantha out there. You could trade. You could get probably an NHL-ready guy and a draft pick. If you don't do it, you risk getting nothing. And I complained up a storm about them not doing anything with Rakell last year. I think if that rumor was true from LA and they passed up what they could have passed up, they'll never get that from Rakell at this point. I think you move on. For now, I think there's still name value. I think you can bring in something similar to what you could bring in for Mantha, an NHL guy, an NHL-ready guy, and probably a prospect or a draft pick. Why wouldn't you do it? What are you going to accomplish this year? They're talking about Stuart Skinner being traded. I 100% support that. I've said from day one, Marshov needs to be on this team this year. What are you getting out of AHL? He's dominating. He's probably going to be the goaltender of the year in the AHL. What more does he have to prove there? Bring him up. He's the best goaltender you have in any level of hockey on this team and in this organization. Bring him up and let him play. If you think you're going to do something in the playoffs, Why wouldn't you have your best goalie out there? And why would you wait until the playoffs to bring him up? Bring him up now. Get him some ice time. Get him some experience. I know the first couple of games they have are teams that are lower than them, like New Jersey tonight, but there's going to be some pretty stiff competition. A lot of what you're going to face in these games is going to look like a playoff game. Why not get him up there and see how he can perform in a situation like that? And I think the same thing with the young guys. I'm happy that Avery Hayes is still there. He's only there because Crosby's hurt. If Crosby wasn't hurt, he would be permanently at Wilkes-Barre, even though he's had 2 hat tricks since he's been sent down, scored a goal in the NHL on his first shot, and had 2 goals in his first game. He's apparently going to play wing tonight with Rust, centered by Raquel on that top line. They're going to keep Malkin with Novak and Chinikov, which I think they should. They're going to have Kindle and Mantha, and it's escaping me now how could I forget? Kevin Hayes. And they'll have the 4th line back intact from what I saw. So Letang is back. He's activated. I mean, it can work, I guess, but you've got to take a look at realistically what you have, and you've got to realistically take a look at how long Crosby's going to be out. You don't win in the playoffs without him. And I don't think you win with him just coming back for the playoffs. I don't know if you get there, if that's the case. When you look at the Eastern Conference, you have to be in the top 3 in the Metro. You just have to be. And right now, they're at 70 points. The Islanders are in 3rd with 69. Washington's in 4th with 67. Columbus is in 5th with 65. It's real tight. Very, very close. Carolina's 8 points ahead of the Penguins, so they've separated themselves from the pack. But the rest of that pack, I don't think the Metro gets a wild card. So you really need to think. They've got a month to figure out what's going to happen at this trade deadline, but you really need to think realistically about where this team could be within the next couple years and where it might be if you decide to go all in with veterans in a lost cause year where you're not really going to do anything, even if you do make the playoffs. My biggest fear for the Penguins at this point, Nick, is that they turn into the Steelers and they start to be okay with mediocrity. They start to be okay with nostalgia. They start to be okay with, well, hey, we're going to be close. Why not try to sneak in there and see what we can do? I get it. You don't want to put a total losing team out there for Sidney Crosby at the end of his career. But in the end, with Sidney Crosby out there, why would you think it's going to be a total losing team? I think if anyone can take these rookies sort of, in stride and make them the best potential hockey player they can be, it's Sidney Crosby. I would love to see a couple of those young guys playing wing on a line centered by him. I don't think you drop off as much as everyone thinks because you still have, in my opinion, the best player in hockey out there on the ice.
And that being said, even though he is the best and he's been so great to this franchise and one of the best players ever, your season still shouldn't fall apart because the 38-year-old's out. You should have more guys there. I mean, it's just an indictment, I think. And they're a great franchise, the most well-run franchise in Pittsburgh right now.
Well, most people don't think it's going to fall apart.
They don't.
I do.
You do. Well, that shouldn't be the case, really, because the guys you mentioned should be able to pick up the slack because, again, he is aging, but he's still great. But they needed to have a plan in place for if this did happen because there was always the possibility at his age or any age you would get hurt in the Olympics or anywhere. So the Steelers are, of course, being held hostage by a 43-year-old, and the Penguins, their season you think is going to be over because a 38-year-old's out. So, and the Pirates refuse to say Connor Griffin should come up at 19. So there's this reluctance to play and star young guys in this town. I mean, nostalgia is great. They did win, but, that was 10 years ago now, 9 years ago now, those cups. So I think the Malkin, Letang, Crosby era maybe should have ended a while ago. And this sounds like I'm knocking Sid. I'm not. He's awesome. But at his age, you should have a plan in place for when he goes down. Your season shouldn't fall apart if he's out, and you're saying it is.
Well, when you look at hockey and you look at how it runs, so they run 4 lines out there. All teams do it. And the best defensive line always runs against the best offensive line on the other side, which is always Crosby's line. So Crosby's always facing the other team's best defensive players. And it doesn't matter. Even at 38, look at the points he puts up.
He's awesome.
He's
I'm not
amazing.
Denying that.
Well, if you don't replace him with star caliber, then those defensemen on the other side are going to go after, say, Malkin's line. Mm-hmm. Will they be able to overcome that? Because they're racking up points because they're facing the next tier of defensive lines every time they play against the other team. when you really clamp down and put those top guys out there, will the Penguins have enough firepower to match that? With Crosby, they do. If you put him against Raquel, Rust, and Avery Hayes, can they shut that line down? Probably. If you put them against Malkin, Chinikov, and Novak, can they shut that line down? Probably. That's what I see in this. I see when you take away Crosby, you take away the star, and the other teams know it, and they're going to adjust to the fact that Crosby's not there, and they're going to dare whoever takes his place to beat them. And that's a big ask for a guy like Avery Hayes or Rickard Rakell, who doesn't play center in the NHL. He's played it before. He played it for Sweden, but he doesn't play it in the NHL, which, as we know, is different from what we saw in the Olympics. Much more confined area. The lines are, where they're positioned. Both ends are tight compared to how huge they were. There's a lot of difference with parameters and dynamics.
It's more exciting, basically, the Olympic play. The NHL should.
Oh, the NHL should definitely. The Olympics were so fun to watch.
But
the NHL is so boring. And what do you hear all the time in the NHL? A whistle blowing constantly for icing because of how much space you have to basically be able to have icing called. All you got to do is cross two lines. So, I mean, no matter where you shoot from, it's probably going to be icing if it makes it all the way down there. That's my concern, is that the Penguins aren't going to have the caliber to adjust to what the teams are going to do against them defensively now, knowing that their top scorer is out for maybe the rest of the year.
Yeah, and certainly it's something to
No one wants to say that either, but I'm going to say it for maybe the rest of the year.
Yeah, it might be. In 4 months, that puts you into April. That's pretty much the end of the regular season. So, yeah, this was a team that was not going to win a cup this year anyway, even if Crosby did not go out. But you could have made it. You could have won a series, something they haven't done now for, 3 years. So, and this is a big test for a first-year head coach in Dan Muse and for this ownership. And Kyle Dubas has made some great moves. You like the trade they made this week, right?
I liked it. I think they got younger. They got faster, they got better, and they got a draft pick out of it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what you have to do at this point. Not saying that, Gerard's 27, like it's great they brought in a 27-year-old. Well, when you trade a 32-year-old, that's good.
That's your prime
27,
20.
And on an aspiring contract, so you wouldn't have had Kulak past this year anyways.
Right.
That was what they intended to do when they traded Jari in the first place. Same with Skinner. They intended to move him at some point, and I think they will. But that's you got to do that. You can't just go all in and get nothing for these guys, especially now that you know. I mean, I don't want to sit here and say the season is lost,
right?
But I mean, it kind of is. And no one wants to admit it, but I mean, I'm usually the one that does. Without Crosby, they're done. And if he's going to be out for an extended period of time, which I'm fully convinced is going to be more than 4 weeks, they're done.
Yeah, and it's gutting, and the fact that it happened in the Olympics gives people ammunition, but it could have happened in an exhibition game, could have happened in a random Penguin-Sabre game in October that nobody was watching, so I'm glad he got to be in the Olympics. To not win the gold, you'd think McDavid and his other teammates would have picked him up, but no, the U.S. has stolen hockey from Canada. That's awesome. No, but it's rough that Sid's out, but the Penguins, we shall overcome. Hopefully we can. The Penguins can.
Well, they're definitely a team. As far as the continuity, if there's a team that could do it, I would say it's this Penguin team. So many guys have overachieved on this team, but sometimes that all catches up.
You get to watch the young guys, if nothing else.
Yes, Muse has kind of let them do their thing. They seem happy. Carlson actually looks like a star again. We know how much he hated Mike Sullivan.
Yeah.
So you start looking at things, and you can pick. I get where all of the other media is trying to find these little diamonds in the rough here. You can find them. I just don't know if you should invest as much as what's being invested in them.
By the way, before we move off hockey, Sullivan, 2 cups and a medal, gold medal. He's got to make the Hall of Fame, right?
Oh, I would think. I think Sullivan's biggest issue is his stubbornness.
Yeah.
And his desire to do things the way he's going to do it, whether it works or not.
Quite a resume, though.
Quite a resume. And for a while, it worked out very well for the Penguins, but he never adjusted to the different talent that he got.
Right.
He just wanted everybody to keep doing the same thing.
It's not working out in New York, but you can't deny what he's done.
No. Now, if he gets the opportunity in New York to start building with players that he wants, that could be a totally different story there. But for right now, he does not have the personnel to do what he's trying to do, but yet it doesn't stop him from trying to do it. And that was the knock I had on him for the last few years in Pittsburgh. Like, you got to take a look. Like, you don't have what you think you have there, but you're still trying to pretend like you do. That's an issue. And a lot of that is being around for a long time. We saw that with the Steelers for how long. You don't have the personnel to do anything you're trying to do, but you're not going to stop. You're going to keep trying to do it.
They should go on tour, Sullivan and Tomlin, the stubborn Mikes, yeah.
Yes. Yes.
But good for him and good for America. It's a great week for hockey. Hopefully the NHL coming back, they can capitalize on this, but I have my doubts.
So a couple of takeaways from the Olympics, and honestly, I didn't watch much as far as the Olympic coverage went. You watched more than me. That's why you do our recaps and everything here. But I tried to watch a few hockey games in the mix, if I could find them on TV, just to observe, just to see. Because you talk about all these stars, and now your stars playing with stars, so you want to see who shines. You look at Canada. I know they said they weren't the overwhelming favorite, but I think they were the overwhelming favorite to win a gold medal coming into the Olympics, just because they've been there and done that so many times, especially when you bring the NHL guys in. Someone I thought that really separated themselves was Nathan MacKinnon. Yeah. Nathan MacKinnon is a star. And I'm not just saying, this is a guy that they found out of nowhere. Nathan MacKinnon might be the star in the NHL. Based on Crosby's age, Nathan MacKinnon might be the star. And you keep talking about stat collector Connor McDavid. I don't see McDavid as a star. I think Celebrini is going to be the next big star.
He's really good.
I think you talk about, you have a draft where all you hear is Connor Bedard. Then the next year it's like, there's Macklin Celebrini. Celebrini is better than Bedard. Celebrini, I think, is better than McDavid. If he's not yet, he will be. But I think you look at what the NHL should do to market players. I think the Olympics, even though it's different hockey, doesn't necessarily get them the outlet to market their sport. I think it gives them the outlet to market players. And Nathan MacKinnon should definitely be marketed by the NHL, but it's tough because he plays in Colorado. Right. But Colorado's won Stanley Cups. So it's not like they're this obsolete franchise that nobody knows. They're not the Nashville Predators. People know who they are. I'm sorry, the Utah Mammoth. They know who they are.
Kraken.
Seattle Kraken.
Release the Kraken.
I think these are guys, I think Celebrini, I know he's in San Jose. Right. You look at that and you see what's difficult to do. Well, for the NHL, it's difficult to do all sorts of things because they don't want to put the time, effort, or more importantly, money into marketing these players. But they have a hard time marketing their sport. They have a hard time marketing their teams. Why not market individual players? Why not market individual stars? And I think looking at Team Canada, those are two guys first and foremost on my list who should be marketed. And it's ironic how bad they got when Crosby got hurt.
Right.
Because they were cruising through, and then he goes down, they almost lose to Finland, and then they lose to America. So regardless of all these stars that you put out there, it's still the 38-year-old that's most important to your team.
Right, and they should go after an American, plays on the East Coast. I mean, how do you not market Jack Hughes after the Golden
You
Goal?
have to market Jack
He's American. He plays on the East Coast. Now, it's not the Rangers, but it is New Jersey. Close enough.
And I know New Jersey's not that good, and that's probably what the issue is, and we'll see that tonight. They lost 2-1 to Buffalo last night. They actually played. There were a handful of teams that played last night in the NHL. But Jack Hughes scored the most important goal maybe in the history of American Olympic hockey. I mean, you look back to the 80 team, you look more at Craig and what he did as goal. Not that we're not looking at Hellebuck, because Hellebuck was
awesome.
Phenomenal. And they had three goaltenders, three NHL starters, because Swayman and Ottinger were there too.
Ottinger didn't play at all.
Ottinger didn't even play. That's how good Hellebuck was. And once again, he plays in Canada, plays for Winnipeg. In America, you don't maybe think of him the way, but most people probably thought he was Canadian because he plays for Winnipeg. You don't think of him in the same light that you think of, an American playing in America. Honestly, that's the Hughes brothers right now, because Quinn Hughes plays for Minnesota now. I mean, those two guys, it's a hockey family. That is the hockey American dream. If you're a kid in America and you say, hey, I want to be an NHL player, it's the Hugheses. Even more so than the Tkachuks, it's the Hugheses. You've got three brothers. They all play hockey. Two of them play for the Devils. The other one's now in Minnesota. And Jack Hughes, the speech that he gave me, how excited was that kid to play for America?
Right.
It wasn't even, it was just to be on Team USA, to bring that gold medal home to the United States 46 years later. Is that how long? Yeah, it's how long it's been, since 1980. Yeah. So from the last time they actually won it, just a great story. And of course, you've got a bunch of people that know nothing about hockey that want to politicize everything because of where they went and what they wore and so much. And so, can we just leave that out of it? Can we just be excited? Just be happy that 46 years later, America finally wins another gold medal. It's not the Soviet Union, and it's Canada. Maybe you look at it the same way. Regardless, just be happy for these guys. They're so excited. They're so happy. Same thing with the women. They were so excited that they won that game. Don't put politics involved. Don't make this about yourself and your desire to get a social media post that somebody actually looks at. Just be happy for Team USA, both men and women, winning a gold medal, because they deserve to be celebrated. They deserve to make their rounds. They deserve for people to clap and be happy and tell them what a great job they did. They deserve it just like the 1980 team did. Let them have their moment. Take politics out of it. Even if you just do it for a month or so, ignore it and just let them be happy kids.
No, I agree. It's a great story, and hockey in America is not going to be football or baseball or basketball. It never will be, but let's enjoy the moment and, get politics out of it if you can. I know that's hard for people to do. And, yeah, this was not David versus Goliath. That was U.S.-Russia in 1980. These were two behemoths, the U.S. and Canada, but still an amazing moment. You're right. Congratulations to the men and the women.
And these guys are just trying to play hockey. They're not out there for any political statement or anything like that. You know what I think of that. I've said that numerous times. It's a dangerous thing to do in sports because when you look at elections in this country, they're usually close. So if you come out and you want to be an activist for something, you risk half of your fan base turning on you. It's just the reality of what it is today. Like if you're an athlete, you really shouldn't say. You want everybody to appreciate what you've done and talk about the great things that you've contributed to your sport. As soon as you bring politics into it, literally half the country is going to turn on you because your stance and their stance is going to be different. And doesn't matter what side you're on, the other side's going to turn on you because maybe deep down they thought you were part of their political party and now they realize that you're not. The best way to go, I've always said it, is just to keep politics out of sports, make it about the game, make it about your performance, make it about the accolades. And the gold medals for both men and women in these Olympics were huge accolades for this country. Just be happy for them. They haven't made it. I don't think they've done anything to make it political. Yeah, they went to the White House, but how many teams that win go to the White House?
Right.
How many teams that win, if they're invited to the State of the Union to stand there in their sweaters and hold their medals, are going to be like, no, we don't want to go do that. No. I mean, not everybody did it, but the ones that wanted to go should have been able to go and should not have gotten criticized, regardless of what party's in power. I wouldn't care. I don't think the people that didn't go should get criticized. I think it's totally their decision. It separates politics from sports. You decide if you want to go, you decide if you don't want to go, and people should be happy for the people that didn't go. People should be happy for the people that did go because all of them together were needed to win that gold medal.
Could not agree more. That's wonderful, Dave. And yeah, you're right. It's a great moment. Just enjoy it for what it is, and we can keep things separate and keep two thoughts in our head at once that, you may disagree with someone, but it's about what they did on the field of play, and what these U.S. teams did was remarkable. The games were fun. Women's hockey, I think, has a big jolt. Men's hockey has a big jolt. Hopefully the NHL can take advantage.
Here's an interesting question to wrap this up. Pittsburgh hockey fans, Pittsburgh Penguin fans are very knowledgeable. They're very respectful.
Yes.
I think that when you go there, you can definitely feel that. Do they give a standing ovation for Jack Hughes tonight?
Absolutely. How could you not?
I
should. I would stand up and cheer him if I were there.
I would think that you're going to expect to see that tonight. And honestly, you should be happy that they do that because that shows respect for the game and respect for a star that brought a gold medal to this country, regardless of what you think about anything else.
Right.
So
exactly.
I would applaud if
course.
the Penguin fans stand up. I wish I was there tonight to
Now, if he played
to do
for the
it.
Flyers, maybe not, because that.
Well, you gotta take a look at
New
that.
Jersey, who cares?
Yeah. This kid seems so humble too. Like he goes across and brings Tage Thompson, who's playing for Buffalo, who was also on the team, out there too, in New Jersey to get some of that respect and that accolade as well.
Great moment for the sport.
Absolutely. So hopefully that'll help put hockey somewhere on the map, get them off a streaming service, put them on real TV for a little bit.
Until it's time to do another mock draft and the NFL takes over again.
I would love to see them do more of what the Olympics do in hockey. I would love to see, even if it's just you just change the rink around a little bit and expand it.
Less icing, you would love.
Less icing.
Whistles.
If you can do less icing, I'll be thrilled. I'll watch every single second of the game if you can get rid of that. But they blow the whistle and it's like, well, there's 30 seconds left. They're going to commercial. They're going to blow it at least 2 more times and go to commercial 2 more times. So I just don't turn it back usually.
But there are great storylines, great players to market. You mentioned Florida's going for the 3rd straight cup. There's things to market these next few months, and the Olympic boost should help them. I don't know if
the NHL is really bad at marketing, and most of the time they complain they don't have the money to do it. So that's kind of, and they're probably some truth to that
They
as well.
rely so much on gate and in-game revenue.
They do, and the Penguins are next to last in the league in attendance. That's not a good place
And
to
with
be.
Crosby out a month, not going to help.
I can't imagine it's going to get any better with no Crosby.
No.
So, but anyways, it's a hockey night in Pittsburgh tonight. New Jersey at Pittsburgh, 7:00 puck drop. You can hear it right here on WMBS Radio. And if you watch on TV, you might see some of our stars of the air down there. Hopefully they're not like on the ice or anything like that. I worry about Josh. I have a feeling he's going down. I can see him like kind of trying to jump the
Take
the
his
boards.
shirt off and start running on the ice. Yeah.
Yeah, or TJ and all his kids in the Zamboni at some point. So
They try to get on the field of the Pirate game, I think. The security held them back.
that would be fantastic. We got to go before the break, so it was a good time, as it always is. So, yes, good luck to the Penguins. We'll see. We'll learn a lot, I think, this week because they play New Jersey. They play the Rangers. I mean, these are games they should win even without Crosby. So I think we'll figure some stuff out as we get through this next week. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we will look at literally anything we haven't talked about to this point. Nick's got Olympic coverage. He's got NBA coverage, maybe WNBA coverage. So we got a lot of him coming up in this last segment. And we'll see if anything else major has come across. Don't go anywhere. The Sports Voice. We'll be right back.
Hey, you looking for a quality pre-owned vehicle? Well, look no more, because with over 200 vehicles, Gary's Auto Sales is the largest used car dealer in the area. Whether you want a car, a truck, or an SUV, you'll absolutely find what you're looking for at Gary's. Gary's has been in business since 1974. You can visit them online at Gary'sAutoSales.com, or you can give them a call at 724-626-8080. Gary's Auto Sales. Many miles, many smiles.
Franco's Golf Center is open during the winter months, Tuesday through Sunday, starting at 11 a.m., closed Monday. With 2 state-of-the-art simulators, Franco's is your destination for indoor golf. The Full Line Pro Shop is also open for your shopping convenience with gift certificates available. The outdoor range is also open year-round, weather permitting. Call 724-438-6651 to reserve your indoor golf tee times. Franco's is located on Route 21 west of Uniontown. Stop and see them today.
If you're ready for a dental makeover or in need of basic dental care, the office of Dr. Mark Rabatin is right for you. Dr. Rabatin uses the latest advancement in the industry to achieve comprehensive care that will preserve your smile for years to come by providing general dentistry services. Call today to schedule your appointment at their modern office, located in the Fayette Business Park, 724-437-4991, for the fine art of dentistry.
When you are looking to make some extra cash for your aluminum cans, visit Cherokee Recycling, where aluminum can is king. Cherokee Recycling is open Monday through Friday 9 to 4:30 and Saturdays 8 to 12 noon, closed Sundays and holidays. Give Marcus or Rags a call today, 724-439-3228 for Cherokee Recycling, where recycling makes the most sense.
WMBS.
Welcome back to the Sports Voice. Well, here we are, the final segment of the show. And I know Nick wanted to kind of talk about this because he told me off air this is his favorite thing about football. But I don't know if he wants anybody to know. But as we're fully aware, the Combine has started today. And Nick told me how much he loves the Combine. He actually sits on his couch and takes notes to try to determine how these guys are going to get drafted when the NFL draft comes. That's why we do so well when we're making our predictions before the draft. We did even better when we actually did the draft. We were so great because we were on in between all the picks talking about who was going to get picked next. I think we got the first pick right with Joe Burrow. I don't know if we got anything else right. I didn't even say their names right as we got down toward the end of that first round.
That was fun.
So you could tell we put a lot of time and effort into the draft. But there's some controversy with this Combine. You told me that Mendoza apparently is not going to throw for any of the scouts that are there. Apparently they couldn't see all the games that he threw in during the college football season and the playoffs. So they need to see it there too, just to confirm that he still has an arm and can actually throw the ball with it. I don't think his hands are small. So I don't think they have to worry about Kenny Pickett stuff. But why do we... I get it if you go back like 20 years ago when games weren't all on TV and there wasn't, this computer opportunity to see literally every play and then slow it down and pause it and do all of that. I get why this was important. But in today's day and age, where every game is out there to see and you can watch film on YouTube literally and play it back and see every single moment of every single game, why do we still do this? Is it just for something to talk about in February in the NFL that's not the Super Bowl?
Yes, the NFL wants you and mandates you to talk about it every day of the year. That's the only reason for it. It's ridiculous. Fernando Mendoza, I know he can play. I saw the throws he made against Penn State, against Oregon, against Miami. He can play. He doesn't need to go out there in his underwear on an empty field in Indianapolis to prove he can throw.
And that's ironic because, transferring over from Cal, not like Cal was setting the world on fire when he was there.
Right.
So you look at what he learned, whether you attribute that to Cignetti or the system or better talent around him. But I think we learned in watching him last year, this guy's the first pick in the NFL draft. Is Vegas thinking about picking someone else? Why would any other team even look at him? Like, you have no shot. Like, he's the number one pick. Why? And I don't blame him. Why go out and throw? Why waste your time doing that? Potentially risking injury for a team that is going to pick you no matter what, and for a bunch of other teams that have no shot at getting you. Maybe some of the guys that are later on, like who was there? Was the Mike Mamula from Boston College,
right,
that had that tremendous combine, lackluster senior year, was out of the league in like 2 years. Philadelphia drafts him in the top 10 based on the combine. And it just goes to show how little that should mean. And that was back in an era where you couldn't see everything. You didn't know that much. So if you saw him do something at the combine, you were overly impressed. I can't imagine that's going to happen now, because even if they do overly impress you with what they do, you still have all of their other body of work to look at and be like, well, yeah, he looked good there, but playing against actual players, he didn't look that good. Like, they know too much about you. This to me is useless, but it's a moneymaker TV show. It's all the stuff the NFL has become known for, which is why here we are in February at the end of the month, dedicating almost 2 segments to football.
Yes, it's filler, it's fodder, it's something to talk about before the free agency and the draft. So good job, NFL.
It's so funny. We laugh at the draft being a big-time storyline because, years ago it wasn't even on TV. Nobody cared about it. Nobody went to it.
Now we spent change the whole economy of Pittsburgh this year.
Yeah, we spent 20 minutes talking about a survey that the players did on the facilities of the stadium that they play for. I mean, that's what we've gotten to. I don't know if the rest of the leagues are just that boring or the NFL just knows how to continue to shove it down your throat.
The latter, but only 5 stalls. Come on, Steelers.
That is great. Hopefully they upgrade. That might be some of the new stuff they do for this draft, because I hope they have more than 5 stalls, especially if they're going to take people down there to go to the bathroom in the middle of the draft.
That is funny.
Yes. We're getting close to March Madness. Ooh, it's getting mad. How about Duke?
Duke's on a roll. Boozer, my God. They beat Notre Dame by 40. They beat a really good Michigan team. They play Virginia this weekend. It's top heavy. Look at the number 1 seeds that could be UConn, Michigan, Arizona, Duke. Iowa State's really good. Illinois. I'm excited. I have March Madness fever.
What intrigues me about Duke, maybe more so than any of the other schools, a lot of the guys that go there are the top recruits in the country. So they're one and done. They're going as a freshman. Look at Flagg and Nepple and those guys last year, and they're gone. You don't have anybody, so you have to reload, usually with all new freshmen. So you look at some of these teams, they've got 6th-year seniors. Pitt's got 8th-year seniors
like 30.
And 9th-year seniors. And then you bring in this team of kids, these 18 and 19-year-olds, and there they are every year. And it doesn't matter if it's Krzyzewski or Shire or whoever's there. You're getting the best of the best. I know Carlos Boozer went there, so you get the kid. But still, they're 18, 19 years old, and they're dominating teams that are filled with veterans. That's impressive to me. Yeah. And every year they need new 18, 19-year-olds because they're all so good they're drafted in the top 10 in the NBA draft. That's a big deal.
They're a basketball factory. Ohio State's a football factory. Duke's a basketball factory. They just always have caliber guys. Yeah, Boozer's kid is there, and that helps, but they have that name, that prestige. That's the ACC, not Pitt. Duke's the ACC.
Agreed.
Duke's the class of
Agreed. Well,
college
Capel was
basketball.
there and thought he could recruit, saying, "Hey, I used to be a Duke." He might have done a better job if he could say, "I'm still a Duke."
Yeah.
Because it certainly didn't help him at Oklahoma, who he barely got their backyard talent in Blake Griffin, and it's not helping him at Pitt at all. He might be on his way out at the end. And by the way, just to clarify, that football factory is now going to be running with Arthur Smith as offensive coordinator and Matt Patricia as defensive coordinator.
Well, yeah.
I could see as time goes on that maybe changing.
Right. I just use them as an
Yes.
example.
No, that's 100% accurate.
Yeah.
But I still baffled by those hires
That
over
was
the
odd.
last couple of years.
That was odd.
Well, we talked a little bit about the NBA draft and how Duke sends so many people there. Nick, what's going on right now in the NBA? They are playing, correct?
The association's on fire. I watched some of Thunder Pistons last night. That could be the finals preview. There's this kid for Detroit.
Does
Cade
Isaiah
Cunningham.
Thomas still play?
No. He's an advisor for them, so he's still
Okay.
around. Michael Jordan, by the way, does not play for the Bulls anymore either. He's
Oh.
with the Wizards now.
I got to start taking notes on
It's
this.
amazing. Cade
Yeah, I know.
Cunningham, watch out for him for the Pistons. Great shooter, gets to the basket. The Thunder, SGA hasn't played in a
You
while.
say Richie Cunningham?
Richie. Yes, Richie Cunningham's son,
Okay.
Cade.
I'm trying to write this down. If you're on TV, you can see me writing these
Yeah.
things down and trying to take notes.
SGA, if he misses any more games, he's not eligible for MVP, and he's a MVP caliber player.
Oh, so is this how they curb tanking in the
Here's how they
NBA?
curb it,
Basically, tell you have to play so many games to be MVP.
But the big
doesn't
story-
matter if you're the best player out
It
there.
doesn't matter. But the big story, the Lakers, LeBron, Luka, the ball boy Bronny, they're struggling. They lost to Orlando last
Ooh.
night. They're struggling a little bit.
They're
So
not-
watch out for the Lakers.
Now, does JJ Redick analyze them during the game? Does he still think he's on TV?
He's on a podcast.
Okay,
He's
yes,
on
while the game's going on and like criticize what's
He
going,
needs
what's
to bring
happening
Cam
there.
Hayward in. Yeah, he does. It's a conflict of interest, but yeah, watch out for the Lakers. I'd say the best team, the Spurs, are on a roll. Wemby, he's like 7'5". He's a freak.
Oh, yeah.
Very long. His long limbs.
Gumby.
I'm Gumby, damn it. But yeah, it's great. A lot of good teams, a lot of young talent, but there are really good teams and really bad teams. The tanking is out of control, I must say.
Now, is there any danger that the floor wiper and the bench cleaner Bronny will get replaced because they need good ones if they want to be good.
That's true. But
Not
he has
everyone
that-
can deliver the water the way he does.
No,
Hopefully they recognize that.
That's right.
Well, LeBron kind of runs that team anyway,
Yes,
so
he has
it
good
probably
genes,
doesn't
Bronny.
matter.
Yeah.
So is there like an odds-on favorite? Will Oklahoma City repeat as NBA champion?
I think they might. I'd say they're the favorite. The Spurs are up there, the Pistons. So if I had to bet, I'd say the Thunder do run it back. Yeah.
Okay.
Like the Dodgers.
Now the WNBA, what's happening there?
Well, they're still waiting on the season.
Oh, it hasn't started yet?
Caitlin Clark
I
is
gotta
still,
write this
she's
stuff
still an
down.
analyst. So when she gets done off TV, she'll be ready to play.
Okay, jotting down. Season hasn't started yet.
Still not. Maybe next week.
Do they have a draft? Is that happening?
They do. I think it's not as nearly as big as the NFL.
Okay.
I think the Indiana Mercury are on the clock. That sounds like a good team.
Okay.
Paige Beckers is still there. You like her, right?
Paige Beckers, yes.
Yeah,
and
Angel
is there a
Reese.
chance her girl Azzy Fudd, is that her name?
That sounds about right.
Will she go to Paige Beckers with Dallas? Right.
Yes.
Could they be on the same team?
I hope so. That's my hope. That's my hope and dream.
Yeah, that could be interesting.
Yeah. Oh, there's so many interesting things in the WNBA.
Anything with the Olympics? Anything we missed?
It was so much fun. It was great. I was at the closing ceremony. Johnny Weir and I hung out.
Were you there with the mascot?
I was with the mascot. I was singing Italian opera.
Oh, nice.
And they gave me the French flag to wave because that's where the next
I saw
Winter
those
Games
people
are.
look like they were coming out of the water. I wasn't sure if you were one of them or not. I was
I didn't get. But in
trying
all
to.
seriousness, Dan Barefoot and Jasmine Jones, two local people, were in the Olympics. Congratulations. They were a great spectacle.
Yes, one won the gold, right?
Jasmine Jones won bronze from Hempfield.
Hempfield. Yes,
Bobsledder.
congratulations.
Not Jamaican bobsled, American bobsled.
That's
Not
awesome.
Like Cool Runnings.
We like to hear about Americans winning gold medals.
It was awesome.
Well, there you go, everyone. We got all caught up in a couple of minutes. That's what we like here on the Sports Voice. That's all the time we have for this week's edition. So if you got through this, we really appreciate you. Thank you very much for listening. We'll be back next Thursday, 4:15 to 6.
You may have noticed a new internet